Welcome to the season finale episode of Blume Podcast Season 4. The theme for this season, as you know, is Destiny Avenged. Each conversation spotlights people who fought past rejections, near failures to earn a chapter in the book on India's startup history. This season is brought to you in partnership with IDFC First Bank and Ultrahuman, one of our portfolio companies. More about them later in the episode. Today, we're joined by Tanuj Shori, the founder of Square Yards, a company that has quietly rewritten the rules of India's real estate market, a really tough market. Tanuj's journey is anything but ordinary. A fast-rising investment banker, last in Hong Kong, he and his wife, Kanika, walked away from comfortable careers, sold nearly everything they owned, and poured every last rupee into a problem that most people thought was relatively unsolvable: the painfully broken real estate buying experience in India. What followed was a decade of building with extreme frugality and fierce conviction. No splashy marketing, just a razor-sharp focus on revenue, unit economics, customer value. What began as a scrappy NRI-focused venture soon became the backbone behind thousands of real estate decisions across India. From a two-person hustle to a full-stack real estate platform, spanning transactions, mortgages, rentals, interiors, data intelligence, Square Yards has now grown into a multi-country operations with billions in transaction value annually, all anchored by a set of founders who were willing to bet it all, endure the messy parts, and outlast everyone else. Today, we go inside their journey, the risks, the near-death moments, and the relentless obsession that powered Square Yards, from what was a living room idea between a husband-wife team to an IPO-ready enterprise. Welcome to the podcast today, Tanuj. Great
Thanks,
to have you.
Karthik. Thanks.
So it's taken a long time. For the viewers who don't know, Tanuj and me first ran into each other in Shanghai, of all places. And I remember that meeting distinctly, pre-pandemic. A lot more Indians used to head to China more often. It was in a conference, and it was the first time I was exposed to the Square Yards journey. I'd heard of the name, but since then, I think we've been WhatsApp friends. I've had the privilege of tracking the journey closely for now, 6 years since then.
6 years, yes.
And it's just grown from strength to strength. It's pretty much everything you promised it would become. So it's a delight today to be in front of you and having this conversation.
Thank you.
So I think, I kind of debriefed you, but we chose like a very bold theme this year. The T-shirt says Destiny, Avenged. Right? Okay. So why the word Avenged? Because basically, हिंदी में कहावत है कि लिखा जाता है, लिखा रहता है आपके, नसीब में. And so is our Urdu rather's nasiib, right? But did it ever feel that way for you? So I think what I like the guests to sort of tell the audience is who you are growing up. Where do these influences come? What gives you the courage to become this superstar entrepreneur? Right. So maybe a little bit of your childhood influences and when that moment, at which moment in your life did it feel like this is your destiny?
Funny and ironic you said that, Karthik. So we internally speak a lot about destiny. Obviously, hard work plays its role, being at the right place at the right time. And luck, we believe, plays a very, very critical and underrated role in everyone's journey. I think there could have been 1,000 ways, stories could have been different. I think I always tell people, I read it somewhere and very close to my heart, that you are always one decision away from a very different life. Always, at any point in time. Yeah. Coming back to your thing. So I think one thing which, if you connect the dot backwards, which my childhood has influenced what we are doing at Square Yards, how we built it, was the risk appetite. Thing. When I grew up, although my definition of risk is very different than normal humans, but I was always an all-in guy, always. In my early years, schooling, not many people know that. I don't think Kanika also knows about it, but we never discussed it. But there was a time I gave up school because I wanted to play cricket.
Okay.
I was all in. I just gave up everything. I went home, told my parents, I'm not going to school from tomorrow. My training starts. I enrolled at the
Which
training.
grade was this?
Grade 8.
Wow. Okay.
And I told my parents that's it. From tomorrow, this is my training academy. My whole day, next 6 months, I'm going to be playing cricket. Nothing else. I think another factor which has been very true to me is my assessment of where I am in risk. I went there 2 weeks into the training. I realized I'm passionate enough. I may not have the relevant skill set to make it big. I love it for the sake of loving it.
Yeah.
May not be my career. I corrected my decision, went back and re-enrolled. So I think those things, and things like in my college, in my engineering college, I led a movement against a couple of we believed at that point in time unfair practices by the administration,
Yeah.
and went on a hartal. I think those leadership attributes are always there
Stand up
from
for
the
what you
beginning.
believe in. Yeah.
I think I motivated 70% of our batch to not appear for the exams. And I was rusticated for that. And again, I was brought back in when things settled. But I'm saying these factors, these attributes are always there, that what do I want to do in life?
Yeah.
Did I have a clarity when I was growing up what I wanted to do? No, nothing. I think I have always built my life, my career predicated on what I love, what I don't love. What gives me peace, what doesn't give me peace. Like post MBA, I changed 7 jobs in 5 months. So I went, started working somewhere, realized this is not for me. I did not know what I want.
That's crazy.
But what I realized, I did not want this. And if I do not want something, I cannot do it. And before I landed up in Lehman Brothers, and then rest is history.
So I was going to bring you to that. I thought I did 7 and 10 before I started Blume. I was also felt confused. A combination of circumstances, whatever it was, 2001 to 2011. I thought people accused me of saying, you didn't know what you want. You did 7 in 5 months. That's crazy. But so what made you then finally say, so 2 things. I was anyway going to ask you a lead up question to what did the banking career and how did you lead into that part of your life? And how did that inform you on both who you were going to become at Square Yards and what did you take away? Because you had some crazy ups and downs there as well. You went into, I think, the GFC, the global financial crisis in 2008, and then Nomura took over that part of Lehman, I'm guessing. So I'd love to hear what finally made banking stick after the 7 attempts.
May not be politically correct answer, but it's an honest answer. I think now when I look back, I think probably I did not realize that at that point in time. Now when I look back, I think people influence most of my decisions. The reason I did not stick to the first 5 careers was, for whatever reason, I did not feel connected to the place, to the ecosystem, to the individuals. I think in my mind, I was obviously veering towards whether I want to build a career in finance, marketing, but it was not a calling per se. So when I joined Lehman, I just absolutely fell in love with the place and the people and my boss. I think that plays a critical role.
This was in India or New York?
This started in India, and stint in New York started in India, and then eventually moved to Singapore. But I think the individuals there significantly influenced my choice. But coming back to your question, exactly what you asked, I think what Lehman / Nomura, same organization, term it as the same organization, but the same individuals continued post the acquisition, was I think that place taught me the value, power of working hard. I think, again, passing out of that engineering / MBA era, having some sort of a clout over the ecosystem I was involved with, whether being a cricket captain, whether it was leading, like I said,
the student
so
union.
I was not privileged from the economic growth, and probably I was come from a very humble background, but I was very privileged from given a position of likability in the ecosystem I was present in. I think, and that made me, to an extent, carefree, if I were to use the right word. Yeah. So basically what I thought I was always smart, but I did not work hard. I think a lot to do with very similar to the generation today. I wanted that work-life balance. I wanted to go home, enjoy with my friends at 6 p.m. Wanted to enjoy various comforts of, I had just moved to Mumbai, loved the Mumbai as a city, wanted to see around. And when I joined Lehman and I realized I was a fish out of water, I absolutely did not know 70% of what I was doing. I asked, there's a very funny story, and a lot of my old peers and colleagues would attest to it.
Yeah.
First day on Lehman floor, and I'm joining Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest investment banks of that era.
Yeah.
And I asked a question on the floor. Sorry, all that is great, but what is equity?
Oh.
I did not know what is equity, and I had joined Lehman. Don't ask how did I get through. I got through.
You got through
got through somehow, but I did not know that.
A charming interview.
And it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing in front of people. The individual who was leading me, he actually put me through the motions, and he gave me an earful. He gave me 10x more than what he gave to others in terms of work. I had to work hard. I had no other option to survive. It was theoretically a dream job I could have had. I think there was days, weeks. I was in office at 7 a.m., going home at 3, sleeping for a couple of hours, coming back to office. No weekends. It went on for months. I remember crying once in the night. कि मैं कहाँ फंस गया? This is not what I wanted out of my life. I think, but before I realized it, I became blue-eyed boy of the management. And suddenly I realized that success is addictive. I think I'm forgetting who said this, but someone said at some convocation in some B school that it's a very tricky slope between what you are passionate about and what you are good at. I think everyone tells everyone, please do follow your passion and you will do well. I think money will follow you, success will follow you. That gentleman said, actually, the passion becomes what you are good at. If you are seriously good at something, or if you become good at something, you're better than most of the other humans. You genuinely start loving it. I think that's what happened with me and Lehman. I think the first time that hard work married smart work, and I succeeded relatively much faster than anyone else around in the room. And those were the early days which started filling me with the notion that I could do something and I could build something with my life which could be extraordinary.
So I'm guessing you put in a few years before GFC. Right. And so when that news came out, you had a camaraderie between you, your bosses, your peers, but still, how did you guys deal with the shock of, I think the transition to Nomura was relatively smooth.
It was smooth. Obviously, it was cutthroat in the sense there was a lot of churning which happened at that point in time, downsizing which happened. I think we remember every Monday morning, HR used to call, and whoever desk line phone rang means this was their last day at job. I think we moved down from 450 individuals at Lehman to around 70, 80. Fortunately, I was part of 70, 80. But apart from living through those few weeks of nightmare, I think it was relatively smooth. It opened up significant doors of possibility. The Lehman management moved to Nomura. I got a larger opportunity to work in Singapore ecosystem. Again, reshaped my career from there, which eventually led around to what we are doing now.
And five years there?
Total both organizations.
After moving to Nomura, another 5 years.
After Nomura, it was around 6.
6 years.
Right.
So now cutting over to the main story, Square Yards. So at least our research and rumor has it that you were personally trying to go through the same experience of being a customer and actually perhaps buy some real estate in India because you probably had some savings. That's my guess. But was that the trigger point, or did you always see this to be the opportunity of a lifetime? Maybe we'll start with that. So, what triggered this great idea?
So I was not a born entrepreneur. I'm still not. I had tell everyone I'm an accidental entrepreneur.
Okay. It doesn't sound like you were always like a leader.
So I was doing well in my career.
Yeah.
And I used to back early stage entrepreneur. Obviously, it was very early days of being an angel investor, but a lot of ideas.
Yeah, 13, 15 years ago, it was very early.
Exactly. My theory was very, very simple, and it still is, even if I meet any young founders, that if anyone is building it for money, they are in for a wrong thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you are building, you have to be all in. It has to be life and death for you, simple. If it is not life and death for you, I cannot back it. Did I explore? Did the thought occur in my mind, Kanika's mind, should we do something of our own? Potentially fleeting thought, but then we realized that nothing we think today can be life and death for us, simple. And if nothing could be life and death for us, we would better off not venturing out in the ecosystem. I think the careers, if you're in the right job, in the right career, in the right space, growing the right way, it gives you enough rooms to tick most of the desires you have in life. So I think, funnily enough, accidentally, when we were in the process of buying an asset, Kanika was exploring something, and when we went through the journey, we realized this could be an interesting play at it. Me being me, that it could be an interesting play, but is this something I want to do for life? No. Kanika accidentally, fortunately, loved the idea much more than I did.
Okay.
And she's like, no, this is something I want to try. And so you mentioned Shanghai. Shanghai has a very deep connect to how we started.
How's that?
I was in Hong Kong, so used to be in China very often, used to be in Shanghai every month. So there's a company in China called Lianjia. They had built this at scale, what we are trying to build in square yards. And in 2011-12, they had around 25% market share of the city.
Oh, wow.
Today, they are almost $12-13 billion. Went up to $100 billion market cap before correcting. They built a large ecosystem. So Kanika connected dots with that if they could do it, we could also replicate the same in India. And I was partly forced, partly influenced to be the first angel investor to her venture.
Oh, that's how it started.
So I was like, okay, it's fine. You go ahead and build it.
Lovely
and
origin story. Yeah.
I'll back it with the capital, but this is not something I can still be all in. So that was the
starting point.
That was the starting point. I think before I realized, and obviously I was helping her, before I realized I was significantly, deeply emotionally vested, not just financially vested, emotionally vested into something, trying to hire a team, trying to see how the ecosystem looks in India. So that was the time we took a trip down to India. We met all the industry incumbents. So that conviction grew. I think, again, connecting the dot backwards, before I realized, I fell in love. And that was and this is again a funny story. That was on Friday in Hong Kong. We are out clubbing. I cannot get square yards out of mind. It's like your first crush when you are a teenager. I could not sleep those couple of nights. Monday, I quit.
2 days it took. 48 hours of obsession.
Exactly.
No, it's sad that we can't have Kanika in the room for multiple reasons. As I told you, this season we started bringing in all the co-founders if we could. Second, happens to be a Wharton alum, so I would have loved to have a fellow Wharton alum. Third, like today you just revealed that she gave the initial spark to the idea, so she definitely belongs in the room. Unfortunately, with you guys in Dubai, it's difficult to manage the logistics, but some other day, hopefully. But so crazy. So in 48 or 72 hours, you decide you're going all in. There's a second part of the story. I don't know how true it is. So two parts to it. One is, I think you're a unique example of understanding that you can't do this as much as, and by the way, the other reason to have Kanika in the room is people, strangely, by the way, diss husband-wife teams. Happens all the time in our industry. Right. We haven't seen enough proof of this. And please keep shining. Please make this a great company. So because you need more role models, that these are not formulas. Right? Yeah, it might not have worked for another husband-wife team, but I think they can work. And we had Shristi and Tarun of E2E earlier this season. It's our portfolio company, husband-wife team listed on the main board, right? Started from SMB life. So yeah, more power to both of you. But two parts to it. One is how it looks like the early financing, you were old school, right? You've never come and taken money from VCs, etc. And it's not like you were waiting for someone to come and back your conviction. You went all in, as in all in, like, sell everything, whatever is required, put the money. I mean, I don't know how much of all in you went. Did you sell house jewelry, etc.? But love to hear that. And second is, yes, you were a leader and you were a formidable banker by then already, but building for an entrepreneurial journey is very different. Because it's not about, we debate this at Blume all the time, that are you hiring an employee or an entrepreneur? And in our case, it's doubly more important because it's a small firm and we are trying to build for decades, much like you are. Right? So I relate to that problem a lot. How did you know that you had to do all of that like at the get-go? I've seen very few founders get that right off the bat, unless they've gotten amazingly lucky in finding a fantastic co-founding team on day one. But here it's a husband-wife team. You're trying to inspire another set of leaders. And you're saying, I'm ready to go all in. What gave you, the courage? How did you go about building it? Would love to, for our younger entrepreneurs who will listen to these shows to hear that.
As you were speaking, I was thinking in my mind, I think 3 key ingredients.
Please.
I'm making this up as I speak, articulating this up. Capital, co-founders, people effectively, and passion or ownership, however we define it. I think those 3 were very, very critical. I think capital first, going back to the philosophy of all in, theory was very, very simple. If this is not something which I can give or me and Kanika can give our life to, we cannot go and ask anyone else for capital.
Okay.
Period. I think that remains true to our entire philosophy today as well. So we went all in to an extent that not just selling our houses, selling our parents' houses as well.
Oh, wow.
To that extent, and unfortunately, our parents still stay on rent, thanks to me.
Thanks to you.
But so that was an extent, and so that was the first port of call, that ensuring that we are fully invested, whatever we can. Second step, port of call, was going back to the individuals who knew me. So these were my professional colleagues. These were my bosses. So yesterday someone was asking me, who were your first few investors? My first 10 investors were all my bosses, ex-bosses,
It's a great validation of what they think about your capability of building a great company, right?
So,
like they're willing to take that bet on you.
And we were fortunate enough to have that conviction from these individuals who had worked with us closely. They gave us the capital. So I think capital part never worried us in the beginning. I think that those first few instances gave us enough conviction that if you're good enough, capital will follow, wherever it will follow from. But the more critical part was, how do you build it? Obviously, first few months when we went all in, we realized building it is tough. It is very, I think it does not follow the linear path which we had modeled in our Excel sheet. And I was an Excel sheet person, being an analyst. No, this is not going according to the plan. And suddenly I remembered when I was on the other side of the table, I used to question managements about, this is what you had talked about next year's strategy, and it has not played out that way. I think one gap we realized was we were hiring people. We were not hiring co-founders. So my philosophy when I was working for Lehman Nomura was, I was we use this word entrepreneur in the sense that it never occurred to me that I am not a founder. That founder word was alien to me. I have been given a role. It is my fiduciary responsibility to fulfill the role to the best of my ability and capability. If the expectation from me is X, I need to deliver 3X. Simple. Or 4X, whichever is the outlier boundary condition might be. The same theory, unfortunately, was not working in early days with the individuals we had brought in. So I don't know if you have seen Moneyball movie.
Yes, of course.
I picked up the phone. Fortunately, I built enough friendships, relationships in my life. Picked up the phone, reached out to a lot of these individuals who played with me, went to school with me, engineering with me, MBA with me. Whoever I could blindly trust. That was the only barometer.
That's
nothing
key.
Else.
Yeah, that's key.
Absolutely. Like who I knew that if they are in, they are in. Like it will be their life and death as well. Convinced 15 of them.
No, it's an interesting point. I mean, in our leadership, 4 of us have worked together in the past. For example, same thing, same emotion.
It took a lot of convincing. A lot of them agreed on the first phone call, quit the next day. Few of them needed few months of convincing, but in the first 6 to 12 months, I was able to bring a very strong team together. Those individuals still exist, by the way.
All of them?
No one has ever left us.
Amazing.
None of us have side hustles. None of us are angel investors. We are still all in.
Lovely. But that in itself is a beautiful part of the story. A decade in that everyone's there.
So we asked this question. We are in a very fragmented space, and we probably might talk about it later.
Yes.
What we did, which was very different. What gives us right to win?
Yes.
And I'm lost for an answer every time I'm asked this question. I cannot model in our Excel sheet and a forecast. But what gives us right to win is these 15 individuals effectively.
How many? About 15 you said?
15. And then later on, few individuals came via acquisition, became part of the co-founding team. But there's another theory that the way we acquired or merged with certain entities was because of the founders. For me, it was very, very
You saw
clear.
them as a proxy for the kind of 15 you had.
Can I marry this individual? Simple.
Absolutely.
If I cannot, it doesn't matter whatever the economics of the business are. It is irrelevant.
Yeah. Amazing. Our season partner, Ultrahuman, is back for a second time. I'm biased as the seed investor here, but their immensely loved brand is making waves globally. Ultrahuman is a health tech pioneer redefining how we track and improve our health. Their sleek titanium ring air and its new rare metal cousins accurately track sleep, movement, and recovery to deliver real-time health insights and personalized nudges. Ultrahuman is creating a unique health ecosystem built on top of the wearable data. It just launched Blood Vision in the US in addition to India, a blood testing service that offers a panel of over 100 longevity and chronic disease biomarkers with the convenience of an at-home test. They're also launching Ultrahuman Home globally for environment-aware analysis and sleep insights. Whatever your health fix, go sign up and experience being truly ultrahuman. You talked a little bit about things not going to plan. If you may ask, all these, there's like all in with everything that you had, how much capital did you manage to put together? Because what surprised us was, despite what you said and not taking venture capital, you actually started hitting scale very, very early, right? I know maybe the starting thesis was NRIs like us are not able to invest in India and we should cater to them. So like, by the way, when Deep was on our podcast, their first 5 years was spent trying to cater to NRIs because there was no domestic market, which was as populous on planes, and it was a very low margin business. It was Air Deccan Kingfisher era, right? So NRIs obviously is seen as a source. Did that hold out for very long? Did you move to what gave you the courage to say, no, the Indians are ready now and we should cater to them? And you went to multiple cities. There was a lot of expansion activity in the early years, which you don't expect a startup to do. And doubly so, you did it with no backing of like fat venture capital.
Right.
So just trying to understand that part of the journey.
And a lot of tuition fees as well.
That always happens.
I think. So I am an eternal optimist as an individual.
All of us entrepreneurs are.
It takes a lot out of me to find fault with a business idea, with a business model, or an individual. I believe my usual theory in life is कि सब अच्छा ही होगा eventually. As long as you're doing the right things, you are going with the right inputs, you theoretically should not fail, but you do. I think a lot of these early years expansions or moves were driven by, I think, less from the hunger from कि we need to become all powerful in 2 years, more driven from the eternal optimism that this should work, this should work, this should work. And again, I think blame it on my psychology that I believe you cannot test anything out on an Excel sheet ever. You need to be on the ground. You need to start building it. You realize where are you going wrong. You need to course correct. You need to course correct fast. You need to learn fast and rebuild that again. So it's not as if we did not have access to capital. We were fortunate enough to have access to private capital. So these were all significant individuals who brought in sizable experience, I think drawing board, leadership, LPs, GPs in private equity, public market funds. And we were fortunate enough to have access to them and fortunate enough to convince them to back us. So that was so we have raised enough capital. It's just that we did not raise it in a traditional format. But I think capital was never a concern for us. So it was not, but you're right. I think never in our, last couple of years have been great, touch wood. Business is making significant cash flows. But till about a couple of years back, we were never at a stage where we had visibility on more than 3 months of salary.
Crazy.
But we had insane amount of confidence of being able to raise capital as and when we wanted. अगेन हमारा एक बहुत ही फेमस डायलॉग है इंटरनली कि ऊपर वाले ने पेट दिया ऊपर वाला भर देगा. तो टेंशन क्यों लेनी. So we go to sleep peacefully, thinking, believing that we will be able to solve it next day.
That's insane courage. Now, we haven't seen that much in entrepreneurs. So it's not as common as you make it out to be. So like more power to you. But again, it came because, of course, you started seeing success in that model of raising from private individuals, etc. It came because they knew that you were executing well and they would back you up if required. Was that it? Or?
Part of that was that. Part of that was history. Part of that was confidence in our execution capability. But we were also very honest at every point in time. We were very, very clear to external stakeholders as well as internal stakeholders that I think first couple of years, what I was saying about tuition fees, we realized very early that it's a very, very tough segment to solve. It's a very, very tough category to solve, and fortunately,
I'm going to come to that because this ecosystem has been of course, there's these co-working space ideas like the WeWork, Beehive, IndieCube, etc., which have done well. But broadly, real estate tech, as we call it in India, has been a straggler for a segment that otherwise has like so much of our GDP going into it, right? And so, you know, in those early years, as you said, you paid your tuition fee, but what did you arrive at in terms of your degree and diploma? So in the sense that what felt like product market fit eventually? I'm just curious. What is the first product market fit in your business?
So what we were fortunate enough to have global experience. So I think we saw what worked, what didn't work in the global markets.
You had the China example as a
China example, couple of UK examples, one Australia example, one US example, and they have gone through their own journeys of doing certain things right, not doing certain things right.
Yeah.
I think one thing which was very clear to us that global developed and emerging markets work differently for these models. But everyone in India was trying to build unilaterally was a pure search and discovery platform. And it was tempting. I still remember a couple of VC meetings. We were told that why are we reinventing the wheel? We should just blindly go and build another search and discovery platform. Our theory was that if for whatever reason 5 players have not succeeded, the 6th won't, the market is not big enough. Just for pure search and discovery, not just for our category. I think that is true for across categories.
True. The value that you can extract from that business model is not enough.
So then when we went deep into the business model, we realized, and this is a thing that internally and externally we came to a validation that this is going to take decades to solve, because we were trying to solve for becoming an organizer player in a very, very fragmented market.
Correct.
Fragmented market of principals, fragmented market of distributors, fragmented market of consumers, every very integrated value chain, each part of the value chain broken.
Correct. And in like India, while it's unified, it's still 20 different markets.
So, and more so in this. So obviously, we have grown up hearing that you need to find your niche.
Yeah.
Build your success in that niche. And it's not that thought didn't occur to us. We also thought, okay, should we find our niche in the entire ecosystem? I think the answer was very clear to us. Writing was on the wall that you will struggle to find a niche and build a niche in this ecosystem because the ecosystem is married to each other. And fortunately, unfortunately, no one had solved for other parts of the ecosystem. So the question in front of us was, are we ready? Do we even want to attempt to solve the entire ecosystem? It's not.
Yeah, it's very daunting because, as you said, classifieds was the way to go. But that's very Web 1.0 in that sense. And in India, as you rightly said, the value chain is not deep enough for you to do fragments and become billion-dollar companies.
So I remember having our version of board meeting with our co-founders is, I think, showing up at someone's house for a nice dinner and drink, and we were talking about that. And our spouses are irritated, by the way, and eventually the spouses also come and join Square Yards. So they hear so much of Square Yard, they're like, हमारी life में वैसे भी Square Yard से
10 साल से सारे मिलके एक ही बच्चे को पाल रहे.
So we no, this was a very valid question, and we genuinely asked that. Theoretically, this is what it looks like. करेंगे तो हमें सब करना पड़ेगा. With very fair assessment, we won't succeed doing only single thing. Each one of us raise their hands up. मैं ये करूँगा. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll do this. You take care of this. So there are X number parts of the ecosystem. Each potential co-founder raising their hand. कि I'll build a venture in this ecosystem, irrespective of what you guys are doing for the other parts of the ecosystem. We practically became an accelerator.
Internally to build multiple businesses that can be strong enough.
Multiple businesses in multiple geographies at the same time.
We see this in some of our businesses. Like if you see Spinny or you see Leverage Edu, if you've met these founders, they're effectively having to build all of the components to come and make it stick together. Same thing, super fragmented markets.
Exactly.
Customer wants a solution. You have to figure out how to solve for that and make it frictionless.
Right.
But real estate was like the nightmare that nobody could conquer in some sense, right?
Exactly. So all of these had to go right. They took their own sweet time, their own version of scale, economics to go right. Fortunately, I'm not saying we have solved for everything. We are still probably
solving.
In the journey in very early days, but we are progressing towards it. And now things have started to make sense.
Would you say today you've grown up to become India's largest sort of organized real estate brokerage firm? Or how we
define our business model? Let's come to that. So I think...
I mean, you now have to say this in your sleep. You're planning to go public in a year or so, within the year or so.
It is... So it is not just the brokerage, and brokerage was the focal point in terms of how we captured the fragmented market. became relevant in the supply chain. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
But it's an entire journey. So we help people search homes. So we are the largest search and discovery. I think a lot of people don't realize that.
So you become that naturally.
We are larger than all the incumbents who existed in the market before us, purely for the eyeball. I think the difference is we don't monetize that part. We are very, very clear. That's a $150 million revenue pool. We sacrifice that $150 million revenue pool to fight for a $4 billion revenue pool. We built the largest transaction ecosystem. We probably 10x larger than any other player. We move, just to put some numbers in perspective, this year we'll end up moving almost 18,000 crores of real estate.
Crazy.
Through the platform. If we were a real estate developer, we would be 5th largest in India, and we are not happy and proud about that. We should have been the largest by now. Another very good example of the ecosystem which started as an ancillary business in helping individuals get financing, has become the largest animal in our entire playbook. Urban Money, which is our subsidiary brand, this year we'll end up moving 80,000 crores worth of loans through our platform.
How much?
80,000 crores, which practically means we are de facto the largest independent financial services distributor in the country.
And in that, you're predominantly a lead generator, or you actually do more of the value stack?
We don't underwrite credit, but we are the entire end-to-end origination player.
Crazy.
There, and which practically puts us in the same league as the largest private lenders, purely on the volumes we move. We are building one of the.
So that product has overtaken the ability for you to sell. It has nothing to do with that.
It has nothing to do with it. The captive business is only 10% of the overall Urban Money's pie. That has become.
So these are your two big sort of top of funnels in that sense.
Yeah. And now we are building home renovations piece. We are building property management piece. These are again very large TAMs, part of the same ecosystem, because the same consumer goes through the journey. So the mandate to every co-founder is very, very clear. You need to build category leading. We don't get into any vertical just because we think we can earn another X amount of $1 million of revenue or profitability from that. The question is very, very clear. Can we become the category leader?
Otherwise, don't do it.
So do we have right to win? If we don't have right to win, don't do it.
That's crazy clarity. Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing. So you're not building adjacency. You're building almost standalone businesses.
And which is what has happened. So now there is a healthy competition internally. कौन पहले IPO जाएगा? Which segment will unlock value first? Which segment
really?
is like
so that ambition is also there.
That ambition is always there.
Amazing. So give me a sense of, or you're a relatively quiet founder. You have not been in the venture crosshairs, VC crosshairs. So not too many people know of how the trajectory of this business has taken off. So I'm asking you a difficult question in the sense that you have to play it back in your head and walk me through what it felt like. But if you have to give a sense of what your equivalent of seed, Series A, B, C was, and how much capital is this business absorbed. Right. You've also been very clever in addition to knowing that you have the audacity to raise capital whenever you want. Right. You've also actually levered the business almost perfectly in this growth path, right? As well as you could have. Yeah. Not too many folks have the courage to take leverage even 7 years in. Right. And you've been building with that. So maybe we should break up two parts, but you've already talked about how the teams have evolved into almost leaders and CEOs inside the firm. Right. So we won't touch upon that. But on the capital journey, and alongside that, if you look at the revenue journey, right, how have you grown from 2015 to now, let's say?
So let me rewind. So early days, like I said, the success validation came early. I think success is the wrong word. I don't think we are successful yet. So we
That's
were able to.
Tanuj. We need you to think 10x from here. Yeah.
We were able to raise one of the largest angel rounds actually. So the first round was around $12 million.
12 million. Wow.
We had practically nothing on the table. So again, that was a very strong validation from a lot of individuals who backed us. They continue to remain. So we have never had a secondary in our life cycle. Everyone still continues to back us.
That is insane.
So
not even in the recent round that you announced.
Not even the recent.
Oh wow.
Okay. So that gave us enough, obviously, capital, food for thought, conviction to go and make mistakes. I think the tuition fees, which we spoke about, the first few years were, like I said, tuition fees. Then, fortunately, Reliance came in at a right time. So though that capital helped, that was the first equity capital we ever raised actually. Before that, and for us, large part of journey after that, our cap raise, like you mentioned, has been in form of structured instruments, us leveraging ourselves up. I think largely coming from the thought process we grew up with, that equity is the most expensive thing in the world. You don't give up equity unless you absolutely need to. And parallelly, so I think for us, capital has not seeded the business. The business has brought in capital. I think for us, every year, we would look at where we are, what are we planning to do in the next few months. I think the goals have been very short term. There is a large long term animal we want to build, but what do we want to achieve? What do we want to solve on ground? What are the problems? So, like, for example, I go to sleep every night listing down 10 things I want to solve next day. Very, very simple.
You do it
I do it every day. This is what I need to do tomorrow. And
crazy.
That is what I tell all my peers to do that. Future will take care of itself. You solve for the next day. So we do that. And based on that, the capital requirement which we have, like I said, we have been fortunate enough to go and tap the door, knock the door to XYZ individuals. This is the capital requirement we have. This is the structured instrument. Fortunately, that capital has always been available. In fact, a large portion of that came in the demonetization week, actually. So we were not worried on the business side on terms of what is happening, but we were worried that it might hit our plans, perfectly laid out plans.
Yeah, I was going to ask you all the roadblocks and demon.
But we were fortunate enough to be able to get there.
Yeah.
And that has always been the journey. Even today, it's business first, the business plans first, and what we want to raise on the capital side to solve for the next 6 months. And then the next 6 months, and then the next 6 months. So to all put together, Karthik, till date, we have raised 175 million. Out of 175, 150 has been retail.
Wow.
It's practically raised of fund. And but these are again the same in most of the same individuals, same families who have come in and backed us at every point in time.
Lovely. No, it's I think the only other story I've heard of this kind was maybe Nika.
Yes,
yeah.
Very similar.
So took institutional capital much later, like kind of what you did. Yeah, I know you had one Reliance kind of infusion, but broadly that's a drop compared to how much you've raised in that ocean.
Right.
And revenue-wise, like I know we'll come to where today is and where the future is as you think of listing. But how did you unlock? So we've seen certain businesses where it takes a long time to unlock the operational efficiencies and suddenly it starts taking off. Did you have those moments in
Precisely that happened with us.
Okay.
So we built multiple parts of the ecosystem, but the toughest learning has been building retail distribution.
Yeah.
I still tell everyone, I think out of building a deep tech side of it, the discovery platform, if the difficulty level of building the retail distribution is there, everyone else is there, everything else is there. There's no comparison.
Okay.
How you build people, how you manage distribution teams, how you unlock sales interventions, how you unlock productivity. It's a daily struggle. You're never settled. I think so for the longest period of time, from 2014 to 2019-20, that was our learning phase on ability to build scale and economies on the sales distribution side. COVID helped. I think COVID helped from the industry digitization perspective, availability of talent perspective. But effectively 2021 onwards, when the pace of scale really took off. So just to put some numbers in perspective, FY21, we were at 30 million revenue, I think.
30 million?
Roughly, 25 to 30.
This is net revenue to you?
This is net revenue to us, not
the GMV.
We will end this year with around 220. So
7x in 4 years.
Right. So it's really taken off in the last 5 years.
Yeah, that's okay. When I met you, and even then, people are saying like, this is the best story that's going to happen. Right. Yeah, I wish I had more capital to play you at that point. But yeah, it's quite amazing. So 7x and it came predominantly from one particular driver, which is just retail. Revenue drove this?
I think all the levers, moving parts, which we're speaking about, started contributing. It's just that all these moving parts take few years to take off before we solve for operational efficiency. So we believe what we have learned and done very well internally is ability to scale. We can scale when we want, however fast we want. What we try and solve for in the early years in any business we are building is the perfect combination of growth and the profitability. I think partly because we never had access to large VC pools or large deep-rooted multi-year capital. We were always very capital efficient.
Yeah.
If that was the
You
right
forced
word.
that
Where we
constraint on
knew
us.
that हमारे पास 3 महीने के बाद salary देने के पैसे नहीं हैं, we cannot burn. So for us, but at the same point in time, we believe, and we have always believed, that you need a certain scale to achieve certain operational efficiency. It's just a combination of both. Do we need to grow at 100%, 150% and burn a lot? Or do we believe a sweet spot is a 50-60% growth and then you become profitable? So all the businesses which we build across geographies go through that curve in the first few years. Once we realize that we have cracked the economics code, then we press the accelerator on growth. It has happened in all our businesses. The growth has become far easier, far faster as we have scaled in the later stages.
This is a good time to talk about IDFC First Bank, our seasoned partner. IDFC First Bank has earned its reputation as one of India's most startup-friendly banks through its First Wings program, which provides dedicated mentorship and tailored financial solutions to help early-stage ventures scale effectively. Coincidentally, many of Blume's portfolio companies, much later stage, also partner with IDFC First Bank for their banking and financial needs. If you're well-funded and scaling, there are great lending and banking partners, and our portfolio companies would attest to that. How much of the business is India versus international?
India is now 85%.
90?
85.
85%. And the rest is Middle East or?
Middle East is 12. We still, in Australia and Canada, around 3 to 4%.
Oh, you do have some. We do have. And we'll come to your future ambitions. But actually, I missed a question when you, two sets of questions related to people. How, you talked about retail distribution being the biggest challenge. Right. What is the magic sauce there, and how big is that workforce today for you? Like at a group level, how many folks actually belong to Square Yards as opposed to being partners of one kind or the other? And what has worked in terms of getting that culture right, that this operational efficiency kicks in and they feel like married to the idea that they're a part of Square Yards? And what is the difference between having that? Does that culture have to be uniform when you're dealing with a fragmented market of brokers, etc., who don't want to be employees, who are all solopreneurs, versus your employee base? Right. So I'm just curious because it's not like we didn't try. We also tried a couple of plays in real estate, didn't go anywhere. Right. So, and I felt like this always used to break. Right. Nobody got this right, and you somehow seem to have got that scale right, especially across different sub-geographies. Because the Tamil Nadu operation must be different from the Bombay operation, is different from the Delhi operation. So what's the magic sauce there?
To answer your first question, around 6,000 employees today. Family members, employees, how we don't call them employees.
Team members,
5,000 of them would be in retail distribution across verticals, across various businesses, across geographies. I think and I'll talk about culture, and culture has been a story for us again. We've gone through various peaks and trophies and change of thoughts. But purely, I think the secret sauce, we believe the secret sauce there is everything boils down to the people. The age-old adage of you build people and people build businesses is more true in the retail distribution. Your ability to retain the top talent, your ability to ensure that these individuals work for a unified goal for 10 years. You continue to bring in those product operational sales efficiencies on a daily basis, how you run these teams, how you mingle with these teams. So like, for example, our attrition rate at the senior management level is almost zero. No one has ever left us. I'm not talking about the co-founding team, the leadership team.
Amazing.
And so a lot of personal effort goes into that. Yes. A lot of connect goes into that. And I've always believed people work for people.
You started from that.
So that plays out. So that has also defined how we built culture. We did not get culture right on day one. In fact, I believe we still haven't got culture right. It's an evolution.
Yes.
At certain point in time, a certain culture made sense.
That's right. And as team grows, you have to adapt.
When we grew, we realized that culture is not the right fit for today's scale, or today's aspiration, or today's generation. So we evolved. The good thing with us is we evolve. I think hopefully we wake up on the right side of the bed and we believe this is the right thing to do, and we do it. And if we decide something and we believe that was something we should not have done, we go back and change. There are no egos, there are no qualms internally. So that culture is a continuous evolving process. To answer your question, that culture also gets driven by the individuals leading that culture. There is a unified organization culture you want to build, that you want to give a gold standard experience to the consumers, you want to do right with every single employee, so on and so forth. But it is as good as announcing something. The implementation by who are running the teams on the ground is the most critical thing. And that is where basically our flag bearers have supported us with the change. That is very critical. And it's easy for me to wake up one day and say कि सबका culture change हो रहा है आज से हम ये करेंगे. Like we went in this industry, we realized at some point in time that to attract the right talent, to retain the right talent, we need to move to 5 days work week. The industry works on 6-day work weeks. I still work 7 days a week. I'm a workaholic. So जब हमने announce किया कि we are moving to 5 days work week, I got some 200 messages. Impossible. ये rumor सही है कि Tanuj Shori has announced 5 days work week. ये तो हो ही नहीं सकता. This is impossible. But what we realized, we looked at a lot of data, a lot of science. We realized that the amount of productivity we can drive in 5 days work week and the amount of talent we can retain and help us to grow will far exceed the number of
additional 15% you're trying to get.
And that was the best decision we ever took. So those things we continue to implement. We still, I think that's an exercise in progress. We evolve every single day.
Awesome. So, so coming to maybe before I come to the present day, you already covered, all the shocks, Demon, RERA. Real estate is a regulated business as well. It goes through ups and downs. And you also spoke about having built this unique culture and bringing the best talent. By default, do you have an advantage because it's not that considered such a sexy business that you can actually drive the best talent to yourself by just standing out? Has that worked in your favor, you think?
That worked on day one. It was an advantage in the early years. It is a disadvantage now. Talent is a continuous struggle.
Yeah, because now you've built the best talent, it can easily run away and get poached.
To grow at 50%,
yeah,
we need to be able to continuously bring talent. And significant amount of
the scale has
talent.
Changed.
But obviously at the same time, what is happening is we have also changed the definition and the perception of the industry.
Yeah.
It is like any other consumer tech business. It is just more fragmented, just more unregulated, which means more opportunities. So you can flip the coin either ways, which means tremendous opportunities for the career growth, for financial growth. For
aspirationally, you've created a new path for somebody who wants to work in this space.
So we are going through that. I think that cycle of our own.
And you alluded to it, and I have it in my notes as well, that COVID actually was a big force multiplier for you. So when, like, some folks who are in better positions to take advantage of the post-COVID scenario just broke out big time.
Precisely.
And what all did you use COVID for, or how did you strategize around that to come out much stronger than your competition?
So our value chain across business is always a combination. We are not deep tech business.
Yes,
no forms
Danda business. Actually.
But it has a significant tech digitization element to it. The challenge is adaptability by the stakeholders.
Yes.
So what COVID did allowed us a force majeure, like you said, a way to force or let's say influence the stakeholders we work with
to adopt the tech.
To adopt the digitization.
Yeah, it's happened to a few industries, but I was surprised that it happened in real estate.
It happened at a significant clip.
Okay.
Both in the lending side as well as the real estate.
And you think your competition wasn't as well equipped to offer the same set of like digitization?
They probably were equipped enough to offer the digitization platform, but unfortunately they did not have the phygital platform to support that.
So now coming to the present, like as we move towards the end of this chat, do you feel like, going back to the first question and the theme, do you feel where in that journey do you feel like you've avenged that original destiny of sleeping over 48 hours and quitting your job? Right. As it felt worth it, where do you feel like you are in that journey?
So we never have an end goal. I never had an end goal.
No, I've known that about you, knowing you for 5-6 years now.
So it's an evolution on the go. We need to solve for the next best thing, and hopefully we are moving in the right direction. Has the model evolved considerably since we thought what it could be day one? Yeah. Yes. The core underlying pieces have remained the same, that we needed to solve for the entire ecosystem. We are trying to solve for the entire ecosystem. But I think the larger equation today is opportunity cost. I think where we were 9 years back, where we are today, the opportunity cost has become significantly higher. So it's like an unsaid fiduciary responsibility we have as a co-founding team to our peers, our colleagues, to the industry ecosystem. We are fortunately, again, unlike a lot of other industries where there is a very significant competition between 2 or 3 players, in our competition is practically us.
Yes.
We are competing with ourselves.
Yeah, everyone's kind of dropped by, which is great.
So fiduciary responsibility to do good by it. So,
Yeah.
so we tell internally the
response.
industry is so large. The India is going through the urbanization curve and go through the housing boom, that we will probably be 20, 30, 40 times larger only if we survive. 2040 mein square yards should exist.
Yeah.
That'll become larger. But our entire thesis of execution and ability to execute will come in figuring out, can we bring a delta over that? I think that's what we strive for every single day. Do we believe we could have done the job better? 100%. I wish we could have built the same scale what we have in half the time and half the capital. Those are the learnings, but it's a very long journey. I think we are very, very clear that we are in it for another 20, 30, 40 years. There's nothing else we know how to do. There's nothing else we love what to do. We're just going to do it the same.
No, amazing. You answered the other part of my question, which is where do you want to be in 10, 15 years? But
Right.
We've noticed when the founder makes up their mind collectively with your leadership that we're ready for the next phase of the journey and we're ready to face public scrutiny and be responsible to literally indirectly or directly through mutual fund houses or the other, you're now responsible for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of shareholders.
Precisely.
And it's a very bold move. And I'm glad you're on the verge of that. It aligns so well with your philosophy as I know you, that I'm hoping that there'll be shareholders who'll always be happy owning Square Yard stock. You have $150 million worth of that today, but hopefully that grows into a much larger pool.
Right.
From your personal lens on that journey, I know you're choosing, as far as possible, you will choose to be in the majority as a team.
Right.
I did get that tidbit from you that you folks collectively own the majority of the firm.
Right.
Is that so? Aspirationally, is it? And you also dropped that in somewhere. Is it to build a gigantic, large business that spans the world, or use this, as you said, like an accelerator which spawned, businesses that can be standalone, very large, and we will be the mothership that keeps incubating these and spinning them out into the future? What do you think will happen? Just a guess. I'm not asking you to be deterministic about it. Yeah.
Do we aspire to build a similar size scale business in 5 other emerging markets? Yes. I think through this journey, we realized that we haven't won India first.
Yeah.
We still haven't.
Yeah.
Still a long, long way to go.
Yeah.
I think that evolution happened as a human capital in us as well, that you need to win something, create that right to win before moving on to another thing. If we are solving for the entire value chain, because that is needed to win. It's not because we love solving for every small thing.
Yeah.
So we believe we'll build India first for the next few years. We continue to build India.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we believe we might get to a stage where we tell ourselves, it's fine, we have built something which will outlive us as a legacy. Will we still be aspiring enough to then go and solve for it, let's say, in other parts of the world? Hopefully, yes. I think we have shown that we can build global side of it. We still exist in markets outside India. It's just that we believe there is not enough bandwidth. Bandwidth is a very double quotes, very important word for us to be able to solve for it in 5 different places at the same time.
Yeah.
And which is where going public is a very important milestone for us. So it's not a monetization event for us. So we are not selling. And so there is an internal dictate, and I hope when my co-founders see it, they won't beat me to it. But there's an internal dictate that none of us will sell anything for the next 10 years.
Wow.
So we are very clear that this will take time. Going public is more of a testament of I think building something which can stand the scrutiny of something which might outlive you. Simple. It's just so we have been I think coming from the public markets helped us. Both me and a couple of my other co-founders who came from public markets.
Yeah.
We have tried to build corporate governance, compliances, best practices suited to public companies.
Yeah.
We have been trying to follow that over the last 4 years. So for us, it is not a significant change.
No, it's a remarkable journey because, as you said, you came prepared. You know what is required. You had never wavered from this, multi-decade vision.
Right.
So the public thing becomes almost like a pit stop along the way,
exactly.
and a sort of the ability for everybody to own a part of Square Yards, and you have your own team, your team members, your stakeholders, and your customers who might say, "Hey, I know how valuable this company was in my journey. Let me own a piece of this going forward."
The only variable being, we hope we'll continue to love building it.
Yeah.
That passion won't burn out.
Yeah. No, I think all of us, we think about it as we are reaching 15 years and we're all thinking 5 years ahead. In any business like yours or ours, you need to know whether you built something that people want to continue.
Precisely.
Right. And as long as you said, that passion is embedded as a part of culture, that this is worth building. Right. Somebody will come and build it, as you said. Exactly. Yeah, you'll become executive chairman someday, not in the next 10 years, after 10 more years. but then you know whether you've built that culture of constantly challenging yourself in building. No, it's been an amazing hour. So thanks for taking the time out. I know you drop in and out of India, and I managed to grab you. This is most likely the season finale for this year. Happy to have a very worthy guest who's also going to hopefully have a fantastic run to the public markets very soon. Wishing you luck on that.
Thank you.
And I think, as I kept saying, your journey has been peculiarly fascinating to me. Full disclosure, I'm a really tiny stakeholder in Tanuj's journey. I hope to be a happy shareholder after it goes public. We've always been intrigued by real estate mein kuch kiska dam hai to actually make a business scale. And, slowly over the last 5-6 years, and you've also been super transparent in sharing your quarterly numbers as publicly as possible. So I think culturally you were always ready to be a public company. And we've been watching that and seeing the growth and just been blown away by the journey. So we had to have you on the podcast. So thanks again. And I feel it's not just a story for your personal journey, but for the entire industry, as you said. I think it feels like real estate's ability to organize itself as an industry got somewhat unlocked. Okay. You saw it in the manufacturing side, but we didn't see it as much on the distribution side. Okay. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
My apologies to Kanika for not having her here. She seems such an important part of the journey, but hopefully I get to meet her and congratulate her soon enough. Whenever you ring the IPO bell, I'll try to be there.
Thank you.
Quick set of rapid fire questions before we wrap up. Yeah. So on that Monday morning when you quit, what was the first emotion when you said, I'm going to be doing Square Yards for God knows how long?
Light feeling, peace.
Yeah, very nice. And it comes from you being generally spiritual or generally being guided by just your inner gut?
So I need to go to bed peacefully. I think, so internally, whenever there is I'm taking a minute. Whenever there is a crisis, and there is always a crisis, my response to crisis is go to sleep, we'll solve next day.
No, it's actually, since you brought it up, I have to also add something. Whenever we go through that with a founder in a conversation, our best solution is sleep over it, let's talk tomorrow. Right? Because sleep takes care of a lot of things. But your biggest early misconception about real estate in India? I mean, when you started, as you said, it was not something you were dreaming of for years. So
ethics, I think very important word, used very loosely in this industry.
When you've gone through bootstrapping phases, they've not lasted very long because you've always needed the money, which is harder. Like, being free of the need to the bootstrap phases or the capital raising phases.
If you can bootstrap, it gives you more conviction, independence, and the capital can vary depending on you have to be all in, simply put.
You've always said you thought of this as like a full stack solution, and it must happen very early in your journey. But what surprises you today when you think back to day one and said, gosh, I would have never imagined Square Yards to be doing this?
We say that actually all the time internally. I think that was very ambitious for us to even attempt at doing something like this. I think 9 out of 10 times we might have decided otherwise. That was fortunate evening. We all decided to give it a go.
And even despite all of what you've managed to unlock in this decade plus journey, What is one thing that you'd still love to see change in Indian real estate?
Lot of transparency, lot of honesty, lot of trust.
Super. So yeah, you still feel you have to be an agent for that, and there's not enough of it.
I think we have not even, the industry has not solved for even 10% of that.
And I know you're a 15-member founding team, but like when it comes to Kanika and you, how do you complement each other? What roles do you play?
So with Kanika, even with, because we go back long way, most of individuals who are the co-founders, in terms of being friends, we are very, very clear till late in the evening. We don't know each other on a personal capacity. We don't.
Okay.
Which also means we fight, we argue, but we don't carry that home.
Yeah, and it's remarkable. I mean, it requires a different level of honesty and maturity on both partners' part to be able to pull that off. And what kind of, I think, as you said you sleep peacefully, but still what keeps you awake at night, you think?
I hope it won't. We won't run out of energy, passion. Not just in me, I think enough stakeholders who want to take it forward.
Yeah, you've set the bar so high that you're really pushing them to the sort of, I think, the edge of their achievement index, right? In terms of where they want to be in 10 years from now.
For example, if any important part of the team, if ever they think about leaving, I always wonder that what did we do wrong? Like why it was not the best place for them.
I went through that 7-8 years into my life, and then I've stopped worrying about it so much. I think people find their peace elsewhere. Right. And what's the one North Star metric for your business that you think of, that guides the entire business?
Scale.
Right. Super. Fantastic. Once again, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
We have a small gift for you as you leave our office today. Thanks, Tanuj. So Tanuj, Ultrahuman is one of our portfolio companies we're very proud of. Your neighbors in UAE, by the way. So their leadership sits there actually, trying to build a global business. So we hope we'll be as proud of them as we are of you building for India. These guys are also trying to build for the world. And they want to give you a ring and get married to you as well.
Thank you. So I'll move from Whoop to Ultrahuman.
No, you can try both and see which is better. And for special founders like you, they've actually offered to give 2 rings. So you and Kanika should try and get, or whoever in your co-founding team. But they've been an inspiration for us as well to see how you can take an Indian consumer company and try to go global. So we'd love for you to become a user.
Thank you.
And this is a sizing kit, by the way. So I'm going to get your office to coordinate with us, and then we'll get the ring shipped to you as soon as you size yourself. A small gift from Blume. Usually it'll have our goodies. You'll figure it out.
Thank you.
And please share it with your team. And thank you.